Today we play golf.
Let me show you how we do it in the pros.
Welcome to Behind the Golf Brand Podcast.
I never miss with the 7-iron.
A conversation with some of the most interesting innovators and entrepreneurs behind the biggest names in golf.
My friends with the golf clubs. I lived on the golf course. I lived on the driving range.
From pro talk.
You should learn something from each and every single round you play in.
To fun from on and off the green.
Why would you play golf if you don't play it for money?
Just let me put the ball in the hole.
This is Behind the Golf Brand Podcast with Paul Liberatore. Behind the Golf Brand Podcast is sponsored by On Point, the revolutionary three-dimensional domed golf ball marker. On Point provides alignment recognition as small as a degree of inaccuracy from the planned course of the putt face angle. Endorsed by Jim Furyk, U.S. Open champion and 17-time PGA Tour winner. On Point alignment technology has been proven to increase putting performance and help lower your score. Visit onpointgolf.us and be sure to use code GA10 for a 10% discount. On Point, make more putts.
What's up, guys? Paul from Golfers Authority. Welcome to Behind the Golf Brand Podcast. This week, I have a half Irish, half Italian. So that's why he's on the show. Friend of mine, Ryan Darcy from XGolf. You might not have heard of XGolf, but you will soon. They are growing very quickly, and they make some of the coolest like simulator technology / like imagine like a Top Golf with sims, but without all that space, but like a really cool sim. That's XGolf. No, you can't have it in your house. I've already asked, but it's freaking cool, and they're like a firestorm right now. So, without further ado, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. What's happening?
So literally, we talked for like an hour before the show. Like that's why I know so much about this guy. And we're like, oh crap, man, we got to do the show. But that's what happens sometimes when you...
Let's make it official. You know, now we know each other. We're friends, right? Is that what we decided?
I know, exactly. Then I was like, all right, you passed the first test. And then we started talking. So where are you located right now?
So I'm in California. We have our main office here in Carson. And we have a distribution hub here as well as in the Midwest in Michigan.
So that's a fancy whiteboard you have behind you. You must be a whiteboard guy.
I have yes, it's a mess, and it is the keys to the kingdom a little bit. Let me just block out some of that.
It's all blurry. I can't even see anything. It's like,
I know that was on purpose.
I think I see. Oh yeah, right. Like you could do that. It's like that one filter on your phone where you can, what's it called? Like portrait mode or something. And you look really good.
Yeah, Zoom does it where you can blur out the background. It's just whenever.
Oh, it's so obvious.
When
people do that,
and
usually it's old ladies. They're like, "Oh, I gotta fix my." My boss did that too. I was like, "Dude, you don't look like that," and actually looks really bad. So you have makeup on. So did you blur your camera?
It's tough though, because look at your background. You've got the beautiful painting and the nice wall and all the nice swag all arranged. I literally cleared off stuff in the background to try to make it.
It was like penfold thing that fell over when I was throwing that phone around earlier.
The magnet towel.
That's what we're going to call it now.
Hey, let's go.
So before we get into XGolf, like, what's your story? Like, did you start off as like, have you been like, were you on the tour, mini tour? Were you a golf nerd? Like, did you go that route, or like, are you just like a hustler, baby?
I was into sports growing up, so I should have listened to my dad because he was trying to get me into golf and to play golf in high school and things. And he told me that golf is the main sport that you can play, your entire life. And I didn't listen to him because that's how kids are. But I always loved golf and ended up when I moved to California. I grew up in the Midwest, small town south of Chicago. And when I moved
Chicago, hold on. I didn't even know that. Yeah. Dude, that's where I'm from. South suburbs.
Oh, really? South, yeah. Small
like how
town,
far south? Like where?
No, hour and a half down by. It's called Coal City. It's down by Joliet, Plainfield area.
Holy crap, dude! That's where I'm from. The South Side. I'm from like Palos Heights, Palos Hills, Oak Lawn, like all that area, like Tinley Park, Okina.
For sure, yeah. I went to DePaul, so I lived downtown.
Oh, you did?
7 years before coming out.
Did you live by Wrigleyville after you got out of college?
I lived all over the city, man.
Dude, that's the best time. Who
I
the
was a
heck-
young kid just enjoying
Hold
life.
on. I'm listening to Brother Good for a second, right? So like, that's like some of the best times of my life. Like after I went to Purdue, right, for undergrad. And so like all my fraternity brothers, all my friends are all from Chicago, right? Because only 2 hours away. And when I graduated college, I'd always I lived in Arizona, but I'd always fly out for like a long weekend and party in Chicago. Chicago's like the funnest freaking city, dude. I love Chicago. Like,
yeah, imagine being, 18, 19, 20 from a small town and then just the keys unleashed to Chicago.
And you live downtown by DePaul?
I lived in Lincoln Park first.
Oh, in Lincoln Park? Oh,
and then moved to the West Loop back when it was still kind of, it was cool,
sketchy.
Right? It was changing.
That was like early. That was like what, 2003, 4, 2?
Yeah, 2003
right?
or 4. We had. Yeah. I can tell you some stories about that, but we rented an old cake baking factory and built out some bedrooms. Me and some other crazy guys, and
that's badass.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
I see. Like, if you could always tell when like someone starts reminiscing about those times and just like, oh man, I wish I was in right now. Because like that was, I remember like going there and then we go to Wrigleyville and then we'd like go drinking at all the bars, like, and what's the name of that area? Wicker Park. Is that Wicker Park?
Wicker Park. Yeah. That was really blowing up around, those times, right? Like early 2000s, basically.
And it's like you go there and everybody there like went to college either in that town or in Chicago, or they went to a college like in the Midwest, like in the Big Ten or something.
For sure. Sorry. That was the option. It was a state school or, go to the city.
No, like, why didn't you go to U of I? That probably was closer.
To where my wife went. And
really? To U of I?
I had a bunch of friends that went down there, Eastern, Northern, all those.
Southern. There's like a million.
Iowa, Purdue, yes.
Good times. Sorry.
Absolutely.
So I should have talked about that before the show, man.
No, I'm stoked about Chicago because we're going to have 8 to 10 Chicago area locations by the end of the year. Right now we have 2. So Chicago is just blowing up.
You guys are going to blow up all over the Midwest and East Coast. I mean,
we are. That's
you kind of already are, but like, yeah. Sorry. It's like we're talking about like secret code right now, but I mean, it's true. I think you guys will because I don't see anybody doing this. Not to this scale, So, okay. So you grew up in the Midwest. You didn't play golf. Not really. You do look like a Chicagoan a little bit with your hair and stuff.
Thank you.
Nice hair, right? Like,
nice hair. Yeah.
Dude, I get made fun of at work. They're like, they always make fun of my hair. I'm like, let's say I have hair. So that's what I always tell my
exactly.
Don't be jealous. Right. Don't be jealous that I have product in my hair.
Don't be a hater.
Don't be a hater. They're all haters. Okay, so right. you were from Illinois by Joliet, kinda, right? Actually, my grandma used to live in Joliet when she got old. And but Joliet Mall. You know what Joliet Mall is? Everybody knows what Joliet Mall is.
Louis Joliet Mall.
Yeah, Joliet Mall. There's probably like one store left there. It's like a Sears and like a JCPenney's or something.
Not Sears. I think they're done these days.
So then what happened? So like, did you play sports in high school and whatever?
Yeah, sports, basketball, baseball, soccer is what I played. And but not golf. Correct. But I played golf. I played golf with friends and just went out
for fun or with your dad.
Hacked it up with my dad and my grandpa and enjoyed it, but never took it too seriously.
I wish I did. Like I went to high school with Ches Reevy and like, I mean, he's on a tour now, but like, I wish I took it seriously back then. Like for
me too. Like, I mean, we're both in golf. You should have listened.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Dad.
And we do it for fun. Like, I mean, this is your company. I do it for fun, but like still, like I wish I just took it seriously. I mean, I'm not saying be a tour player, but maybe a lot better than I was, So,
but isn't that the best thing about golf, right? Is that there's different levels. You can take it super serious and only, try to beat your score and be all analytical about it, or you can go out and have a good time and have some drinks and hack it around with your buddies and
for 5 hours and get away from everything. And you always feel like, and seriously, when you get back, you always are in a way better mood than when you left, right? Like 100%. I don't know how it happens. Maybe because I don't know, you just get out of the zone of your normal life. Then you went to DePaul, but you didn't play golf at DePaul. What was your major in, like marketing or something? Finance?
Marketing, sales, leadership, concentration.
Dude, this guy's a hustler, by the way, because like he was telling me like he Like, did you like sell shirts in college and stuff?
I had a clothing company in college. I've had quite a few. I actually opened a gourmet sausage specialty hot dog restaurant that still is there right outside of DePaul in Lincoln Park called
Are you
Chicago
serious?
Doghouse. Yeah. So we were on like Food Network, WGN, a bunch of press locally. I got approached with the idea and
What year was
decided
that?
that was 2007.
So that's when like foodie started happening. I feel like when Top Chef got on and like all these shows, right? Like, so you guys made specialty sausages. Oh, dude, I love it. I love Chicago sausage, man. It's like,
It was, yeah, like how crazy do you have to be to open a hot dog shop in Chicago?
'cause like
when there's a
billion
million of them. And that was
yeah,
my thing. I was
it's
like,
the only city
all
that
right.
has that many.
Yeah, I got approached from a buddy and I'm like, all right, dude, if we're going to do this, we got to make it different. So we got to go, we had smoked duck sausage with caramelized onion, honey glazed pear, and a Swiss cheese on top. We had a alligator sausage with a sweet and spicy sauce and caramelized.
You really
onion.
made of alligator?
Yeah, absolutely. And then we had,
Holy shit.
like our French fries. I was like, we can't do just regular French fries. We got to do frips. So a frip was a mix between a French fry and a potato chip.
Oh,
and then I customized a spiral cutter and mounted a drill on it. So you hand drilled, this spiral cutter and it slinkied out the potato and then you toss it right in. It was like the In-N-Out fresh fries, but literally nothing but a potato and cut into a slinky and thrown in the soybean oil. I still remember.
You're so hungry
like
too right now because it's like still breakfast. I mean, I only have a cup of coffee and I'm like, oh man, I'm so hungry. And then you're talking about this, but it's of course like the best place to open it, right? Because all the hipsters and all the young business people, right? They're all living on the north side. So
it was fun. It taught me a lot about building a brand and being a young guy without the conformity of working for a big company. So if there was an idea and we thought it was cool, we did it. And we had a bunch of fun stuff. Like we made flyers that looked like parking tickets and I paid a bunch of college kids to go flyer all the cars.
Really?
And like you walk
oh my
down
God, that's so smart, dude.
You walk down the street and there's just like all of these what look like parking tickets. And then if you flip it over, it says, this isn't a ticket, come in for a free set of frips. And it was cool because people were like, most people thought it was hilarious. And then you had a few that were upset by it. And I'm just like, look, if this is the worst thing that happened to you today, take a free set of frips and go have a great day. Right. And it just made me realize that no matter what, you can't please everyone. No, right. You really can't. Like here, I'm trying to give you something for free. For 1 second, you thought you had a parking ticket, smile about it, move on, take the.
I had a guy once, I sent some product to him. Right. And he got it and he was so stupid. Like he didn't know how to use it. It was a freaking divot tool, right? Like how hard, but it had like a magnet on it. So then he's like, oh, the thing's broken and blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? I'm like, all right, we'll just take it. He's like, and it got messed up in shipping. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. And so like he sent it. I'm like, I'll just send him another one, just, whatever. Right. So I sent him another one. Same, nothing's wrong. I wrap it up in bubble wrap. Like there's no ways to get damaged.
It's a divot tool. How do you
damage a piece of metal? Right.
Right.
It's so stupid. But I was like, whatever. I know what that cost me. So I sent it over to him and he complains again. And I was like, all right, I'm done. He's like, oh, I went to the pro shop and they told me that that's a cheap ass, blah, blah, blah. It's not right. And it doesn't look like the picture. I'm like, dude, it looks exactly like the picture. Like, so yeah. After that, that's like my first foray in like customer service. And I was like, whatever. You know what?
Some people will complain. If they're complainers, they'll just find a way to complain. No matter what, you could have sent him 10 divot tools every time he'd find something wrong with it, right?
He's a grouchy old man. That's what I was like, whatever.
Could be.
Probably his name was Brian Darcy. I don't know that name. But
never heard of him.
It's Bryan.
So. Not affiliated.
Actually, my son's name is Brian.
With the many good Darcys around the Joliet area, it's not.
There's probably not affiliated. Dude, you're like the Renaissance man. I didn't know that. See, before I was like, oh yeah, let's talk about this. Then you're like, oh, I had a restaurant. So did you sell that restaurant, or you sold to your partners, or what'd you do?
I still, my partner runs it. I still technically own a piece of it, but
you get a kickback or no?
Just let him do his thing. I'm happy for him. He's living the dream. That was all what he wanted to do. So
oh, that's cool.
Happy to help him along the way.
So then he's the one who like pays you hundreds of thousands of dollars every year for your.
Yeah, I wish I wouldn't be.
No, you are
working so hard.
What the hell's that guy's name? Hold on, I'm gonna start calling you this now. You're probably gonna be all pissed off. Sausage King of Chicago.
Abe Froman, man.
Abe Froman, dude. You're Abe Froman.
I'm not. Maybe my partner.
No. Well, then you're like.
If I had stayed, maybe, right? I would have quite a few of them and give Portillo's a run for his money. But
do they have Portillo's in Arizona? They have Portillo's in Chicago or in Manhattan Beach or no?
Not Manhattan Beach, but they have one in Anaheim that if you're heading out to the desert. Yeah, but if you're going to the desert, you can strategically stop in there, get some.
And go to Disneyland.
Go to Disneyland. Yes. No.
Abe Froman. That's a badass name, dude. Okay, so see how we're totally digressing, but this is actually fun. So I'm learning about you. So you're Abe Froman for a couple of years, and then what happened?
Was looking for a change of pace, so moved out to California, and that was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, but to what, a cubicle job?
It wasn't quite. Yeah, I mean, wasn't quite a cubicle, but it was.
We all have our cubicles in our own.
I got. It was a selling advertising and running a team, and it was kind of what led me randomly to XGolf, as I had some mutual business contacts that told me about this Korean-based simulator technology that was getting started in the US. And he had gotten invited to go check it out and have lunch over there. And he was like, "You want to come?" He's like, "I know you love golf." I'm like, "Sure." So we went over there, tried it out. While we were there, the CEO at the time, James Kim, told me that they were looking for some sales help, and if I knew anyone to let him know. And so I went home that night and I thought about it. I'm like, I know somebody that can help them, and it's me. So I called him up and went through the interview process. And he's like, "We're hiring an account manager." It's basically kind of starting at the bottom. I'm like, "Great, let's do it." And so
that's why I tell you guys, Ryan's the CEO of the company out here, right? So like, this is like the Cinderella story, right? Like, he's just like us. He literally started from the very, very bottom of a company that was pretty much new to the US. And just because he's a hustler, right? And he knows what he's doing, he kind of figured it out along the way, right? Like the next level, because but you probably learned so much when you were Abe Froman, right? That like it gave you a different point of view than just some account manager or some guys in sales. Like, you're like, no. Like, if you want this to grow, you need to make sure all these things are going to work correctly, right?
Yeah, it definitely helps being able to understand like how to grow a brand and, think outside the box a little bit, right? And I think it started with my upbringing, and my grandfather was an entrepreneur and had a bunch of different companies and was involved in. Him and his partners started a card game and bought the rights to a company called International Games, and they manufactured the card game Uno. And so they started selling it in a flower shop in Illinois and ended up growing it to the biggest card game of all time.
My uncle was an artist for that company. Like, he made
for International Games.
Like, he made Uno cards. Like, he drew. Swear to God, and they're from Illinois. They're like, he did the Dukes of Hazzard Uno game. Like,
oh my God, I have a picture of that.
He drew all the people, the coloring. He did all that shit. Dude, I'm not kidding around.
I can show. I'll text you a picture of that.
But do you know what I'm talking about, right?
I have.
I'm not lying, because like, how would I know?
I have a deck. I have an unopened Dukes of Hazzard Uno deck that I saw at my grandma's house in Wisconsin at Lake Geneva. Yeah.
I swear to God. Because I remember it. And I was like, I'm probably a little bit older than you. So like, this is like 1982, probably 83. And I was a little baby, as a little kid. But I remember my mom like telling me, like, I was big into Dukes of Hazzard, right? Like, who was in the early 80s? And like, she was like, "Oh, your uncle works for this." And I don't know if he's a freelance artist or if he worked, but I know he did all the artwork for that whole set. I know that. For
That's really cool.
That's weird?
Awesome. That is weird, dude. Yeah, ask him if he knows the Darcys or if he worked with.
He died, unfortunately.
Okay. Cancer, my grandpa did as well. So.
I bet they did know. I bet your grandfather knew my uncle. I bet you $1 million. You know what I mean? Like seriously,
I mean, back then, it was they were
a small.
They're hustling and figuring it out and doing
and it was massive.
integrations.
But then did they get bought out then from somebody else, like Milton Bradley or somebody?
Mattel. They sold it. They sold it to Mattel.
See, this is awesome. Well, I'm like the same way, right? My grandfather was a complete entrepreneur. Like he's after World War II, like he went back to Chicago. Well, he was a farm boy, but then they moved to Chicago because he married my grandma. And like he like started the first like leasing company for heavy equipment, like in the Chicagoland. So like everybody leased from my grandfather, right? Like, and so it's cheaper to lease, when they're building all the freeways, and to go buy a big tractor. And so like he would fix them, right? And then he would lease them out or whatever. But then like he was also a farmer. So he owned a ton of land. Like he owned like miles of land off of I-80 pretty much, like I-80 and like Harlem, like major intersections, right? And then he like built all that into like business research parks and all this shit. So it's like cool because that generation was smart and they were hustlers and they're like, we need to make money,
For sure.
Like
that's what my grandpa did. He got into farming and that's my dad still farms to this day. And I grew up, in a small town and could drive a tractor before I could drive a car. And
I was like me.
Used to plant fields and I enjoy that. It's
soybean corn. That's all it is.
There's nothing like driving combine through a field at 6 miles an hour and literally you just got to focus on the row in front of you.
That's literally what it is. And you know
soothing.
what? Like, yeah. And like, you can't mess it up, right? Because you run over those plants, you're dead man, right? Like, I remember
like hear it from my dad. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I remember as a kid, like my grandfather, like he would get all these, like after they would harvest the soybeans, I remember he had like this big like trailer thing full of soybeans, but they're dirty as hell, right? But like we had to like push them through this pipe or whatever. So I remember my cousin and I like walking through this like I don't know, I guess it's trailer really pushing it, like trying to push it down, right? Like all these beans into like whatever it was. And then we were filthy, like just covered in like nasty dirt, whatever. It was black. And there was like this creek nearby. So I remember like literally like taking a bath in the creek. It was like the funnest memories of my life. Like seriously.
For sure.
Sorry, like I'm totally digressing, but it was fun.
Yeah, you combine it, you put it in the wagon, then you funnel.
That's exactly what it was like after we put in the wagon, you know. And then it was like I think it was probably what we were doing, right? So it's like you're dropping it and then it pulls it into the silo or whatever.
Sure.
That's crazy, dude. Small world. So you're Abe Froman, then you go work in a cubicle. Not really, probably worked in an office, but then you're just managing a sales team, which is probably a massive pain in the ass because it is. Because people think, oh, it's easy, and it's not. Because you have probably some guys that are like lazy and don't really do anything, and you're like, I know how that works. And then you get your job at XGolf, and then what happens?
So back then, and still, we were owned 100% by the Korean manufacturer at the time. And so, really it was a combination of figuring out the US market, coming up with a strategy, but also gaining the trust of the company, at the time that is very passionate about indoor golf and simulators and, finding I was the only Caucasian or American at the time that was working in the company. And so it was a way to really gain their trust and help come up with a strategy. And so I got promoted fairly early on to help as kind of a director of marketing and business development type role, as well as, keep answering the calls and trying to sell simulators to anyone that would
sell
listen.
The brand, right? I mean,
sell the brand. Yeah.
But when you started out, were you guys doing like what you're doing now, or were you just selling the simulators over here?
We were just selling the simulators, similar to a lot of our competitors, right? So
so for simulator wise, like who's your competitors? Then? Not what you guys do now, but like then, was it be like, those? What was the name of that company?
Well, there's quite a few. I mean, there's Full Swing, TrackMan.
Oh yeah.
E6. About golf. I don't know how many other.
No, that's crazy though, because so really when you guys started here, you were just not new, but you were new to America, competing in the same space as all the big.
And it was tough, right? Because we were out in California, we were far away from kind of the cold weather states that indoor golf was popular, and I believed very highly that we had the best technology, but getting it into people's hands and getting them to try it was a challenge, right? And then you're facing competition from folks that have better connections in the golf industry and have been in this space for multiple years.
Yeah, you're the new kid on the block, right? So
we were the new kid on the block, and it was an uphill battle to try to figure out, okay, do we keep, trying to sell to houses and bars and restaurants and corporate offices and condo buildings, and everyone calls just wants a discount because they shop everyone around, and it's really hard to figure out who's the best, or is there a differentiating factor in the technology? If not, I just want the best for the cheapest amount, right? And that was
that's
conversation.
The sale, right? That's the hardest part because the market's limited, I think, right? Like if you just did straight retail, let's call it, right?
It's tough. It's a tough model, and our margins, I know, were probably a lot less than some of our competitors because we had more technology. We had a floor that we built with a platform and an auto tee machine built in, and all the balls auto collect underneath. And we had sensors in the ceiling and the floor and infrared lasers and cameras. And I knew it was going to be very difficult to compete on price because, if they're asking for a 25% reduction in price, we don't make any money, right? So anyway, about 5 years ago is when it really clicked to say,
so whose idea was that?
To do franchising in the U.S.?
Yeah.
So we worked on it as a company, but I definitely spearheaded the. You
saw it.
Launch.
You're like, hey, this is something.
Well, I think there was a gap, right? And it was these people would call us and say, I want to open an indoor golf center. And it's like, cool. What's your plans? Well, I'm going to buy golf simulators. I'm going to put them in a warehouse and people are going to come. And it was like, okay, what about all the details, right? What type of POS? How are you going to run your tournaments, your leagues? How is your scheduler going to work?
No idea.
Are you charging by the hour? Are you trying to do a round of golf? I saw a lot of mistakes. Are you doing a full bar? Are you doing quick serve ovens, right? And so there were a lot of details that went into it. And ultimately it was, I think we can, give a package for streamlined operation, combine that with the best technology, and then give them, and then grow one brand name and turn it into the biggest brand in the space and control the industry. And that's
so I'm sorry, when did the first location open?
That was, back in 2016. So 5 years ago.
Where was that at?
It's in Michigan.
And I guess explain to the audience, like what exactly XGolf is.
So XGolf is a indoor golf franchise-based business. So we, again, manufacture and produce what I
turnkey,
and a lot of people consider is the world's best indoor simulation technology. But we combine it with a business model and a plan, right? And so all of our centers are branded XGolf. Right now, actually this morning, we opened our 30th location around the country. So we have 30 full-scale indoor golf businesses, and they have, a full bar, quick serve food and beverage offerings, as well as 6 to 10 golf simulators.
So it's not. Is it a full restaurant or is it a bar with like quick food?
We're an indoor golf center that serves food and beverages. That's the way we've always positioned it, is the focus is on golf, but we do have food offerings. And so we have quick serve ovens similar to Starbucks or Subway, where you go.
But you don't have like a full kitchen, right?
We don't have a full kitchen.
Yeah.
No.
That's a whole thing.
And we do a lot of, back, in the pre-COVID days, we did a lot of corporate events, and we partner with local restaurants and do catering offerings and things. And it's great because we work with the community and we can give back to local restaurants as well by doing catering orders through them. So that's when we know there's going to be 100 people that want to eat and drink, right? Other than that, the focus is on golf, and there's only so much that the golfers are going to eat during their 2 to 3 hours.
It almost sounds like a really fun outside of the golf part of it, just like it's a bar, right? Like it serves quick food, but like I was talking to a friend of mine a couple weeks ago who's in Manhattan, right? And he works for a big brand, and he said like there's a place that it's always cold, like in the winter, right? There's like nowhere for any of these people to go, and there's a place that he goes to, I think in Brooklyn. And I thought it was XGolf, but it wasn't. So I asked the lady that works with you, but he's like, yeah, it's the funnest thing to do, right? So it's like when I heard that and I talked to you guys, I was like, oh man, this thing's gonna blow up, because I mean, I bet it's a harder, well, where you live and where I live, like the West Coast places that are always kind of nice out. I mean, it's hot as hell in the summertime. So I guess that would probably still work in Phoenix, when it's super hot. But I mean, pretty much everywhere but a couple states, I would say. I mean, this is something that people will want to do, because,
Yeah, and that's the exciting part is right now we have 30 locations. We'll be north of 50.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. I mean, within 5 years, but we have doubled in size the past few years. And
COVID, right? So you're still growing during COVID when no one's going anywhere.
For sure. And that's the thing is that, we'll be north of 50 locations by the end of the year. But the main thing is one of our goals is to take away some of the seasonality of the business where it's not looked at as just an option when it's super cold outside and you can't golf, outside. And so that's where we're really taking the next step as a brand to connect all of our centers together. We've got a new app coming out where you can log in and have access to a handicap and all your tour style stats like greens and regulation, driving distance, fairway percentages.
But it'll keep your stats.
It'll keep all your stats and location. You scan your app and it logs you into the simulator. But then the main goal of that is we're going to have standardized golf tournaments in real time across all the facilities, which is exciting because all of the technology is the exact same. So whether you're in Boston, New York, Chicago, once
you already know how to use it if you've already been there before.
Well, and once you step foot in the simulator, it's a level playing field across the board. So all the hardware,
cool.
all the software is the exact same. And we see a huge opportunity for team-based competitions and different formats in golf and ways to give away prize pools and dream golf trips and play around with this celebrity. We're integrating a lot of these fun ideas and prizes, but also giving the individual and the player the ability to track all their stats and then enter these handicap-based tournaments, which opens it up to the masses. We're really excited about that piece, and that's going to be coming out starting next month.
I don't know. I think you guys are really poised for something massive because, I mean, you look at Topgolf, right? Like that's a lot of real estate you have to do that. And, in the last 10 years, I mean, they're popping up everywhere, right? Topgolf, two. I think we have 3 in Phoenix now. I know we have 2 for sure. But I mean, everyone's like, what's that? I remember like when they first started coming out, like, what are these big towers? And, the nets. And it's like, but this, you don't have to have all that real estate. You just need to have a commercial space, right? To do it. So that's really cool. And the technology, I mean, I've seen your videos. It's like pretty high. It's legit, like, I don't know. I think you guys are going to explode. I mean, you already
thank you.
I mean, it's the momentum, right? You went from like, and I would say for you guys to even still hit that many locations, right? In a time when COVID and no one was going anywhere, it's just crazy. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think that it's a combination of just great partners through our franchisees, as well as, understanding that there's an opportunity in this space to really be part of a company that is starting to take hold of the industry and be the leader, right?
Yeah, because like now you're able to let these people, like they're all going to go hang out, right? So it'd be like, hey, it's winter. Let's not even winter. Let's say it's like a Thursday night, right? And you want to go hang out with your friends. So then instead of, all you and your bros can go over to XGolf, play, have a couple drinks, dork around, keep your stats, whatever it is, and then go home. It's not like you're going to go play five hours. Like, let's go play Pebble Beach tonight, or something stupid.
For sure.
That'd be fun. I think it'd be fun.
It's so much fun. And that's the thing is that, we're excited too, because it's not just all new franchisees all the time. As we get to 50 locations, we've had 8 groups now that have launched multi-unit stores within a year or two of opening their first, and they've obtained SBA funding, Small Business Administration funding for the first and the second. So basically, like someone's looking at their numbers to make sure it's working in order to give them the loan, right? So
during a downtime in the economy.
During a downtime.
So
absolutely.
It's like, could you imagine like once all this COVID stuff blows away, right? It's in a year or two, right? When it's all really just done. Like you're actually going to be more than poised. You're going to have over 50 stores, right? And then or locations. And then you're going to have like the infrastructure in place. You've already worked out all the kinks over the last 5 or 6 years. And now everybody can go right back to normal, right? And then.
For sure. And that's, the putting the plans in place, which are allowing our franchisees to expand really makes me proud because it means it's working and the, delivery or the operations are key. But then, we're also excited about expanding into Canada this year. So we just started a new Canadian entity and we should open between 3 and 5 Canadian franchises this year. And we're excited about that because it's a new opportunity to continue to grow the brand to an audience that maybe hasn't heard of us yet.
Brilliant. Well, plus you see too, like you guys work with Callaway, right? Like that's like, one of your, what we call a sponsor, promoter, co-brand. I don't know. What do you call it?
Yeah, it's a partnership, right?
Yeah.
It's
do they give you the clubs? Is it the clubs you work with them, or what do they do with you?
We have PGA pros at all of our facilities, so we do lessons and then club fitting as well. So we have club fitting options through Callaway.
And they just bought Top Golf, right? So like I could see them. I already know what their playbook is, right? When you guys blow up, they're gonna be like, "Oh, we want to buy you guys for $1 billion." Or
you hear that, Chip Brewer, billion. That's the CEO. Now he's a great guy, and from the start, he's got a vision, I think, in golf that some other brands could learn from, because from the start, when we were very young, Callaway listened and they wanted to work with us, and they believed that we were going to grow the way we are. So of course, there's loyalty with them, right?
This is what I love about like not just the podcast, but with what I do and the brands I work with. Like I work with a lot of like small to mid-sized brands that are doing really well. And like, I want to say to the big brands, you guys need to watch out. You know what I mean? Like there are a bunch of, like a lot of the big brands are dinosaurs, right? And they take forever to move. And like
some of them, some are not. Correct.
But they just need to watch out for what's coming down the pipe with small people with big ideas that are putting it together. You know what I mean? Or have the backing and have the wherewithal to like really do it right.
It's crazy. Is literally last night after I put the kids to bed, I watched the Blockbuster documentary.
Dude, I watched that too.
On Netflix.
I watched it with my wife this weekend. That thing's good.
When they talked about Netflix coming to them and they laughed them out of the room, it's just at that point, it's like,
that moment in time, right? Or it's like when Tesla went to like whatever GM was like, oh yeah, we want to do electric cars. They just laughed them out of the room. Oh, no one's going to buy that.
Right. And now they're worth more than, every
all
other
of them,
car company,
all of them
right?
together.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And it's only, they only make what, a couple cars. Like, yeah. And then, yeah, when you watch that, you guys got to watch that Blockbuster documentary. It's so good.
The amount of stores they had and then to go to crashing down. But really, like they were on the main thing that surprised me was that they were a little late to the game, but they were starting
They weren't stupid. Like people think they were
starting
like,
to get there.
Yeah.
Right. But they waited too long. And then 2008 really, I think it was
that and all the debt, right? Because that other guy freaking took all their cash. So
we shouldn't ruin it. We shouldn't ruin it for the audience. Let them watch.
But still, yeah, I was like,
that's what crushed them was saddling them with debt to get the other company.
They're screwed.
Going.
There's nothing they could do.
Right.
But I thought it was so fascinating. I remember this. Like, I guess I don't really remember, but I kind of do. Like how Blockbuster started. I thought it was, and how videos. I remember this kid going to a video store. And there wasn't a Blockbuster. There was like the mom and pop small, places. But like the reason why the whole thing started was because videos were so expensive back then, right? They're $100 a video. Like, not so it was easier for people to buy it and then rent it out. But then I thought it was really cool too. I'm a lawyer and I like that law bullshit. Really,
the licensing part,
the licensing, and like how they went away to the Supreme Court. I was like, that's rad,
for sure. But then when they cut the deal with licensing the rev share model, that's what
Blockbuster did, which was brilliant.
I mean, it was brilliant. They crushed all of their competitors because
right away.
What do they get? Are the studios going to do 1,000 different rev shares with all these mom and pops, or one big rev share? With
who has and back then they didn't have that many stores, right? They had like maybe 20, right, or something like that. So
I think back then they had I think the rev share days they had a lot because they grew so fast, right? But I don't know. I can't remember exactly.
It was crazy.
Either way, cool story.
It's a cool story. I just think that's cool. There's still one open. I want to go visit it now. Right. Dude, Ryan, let's go there together.
Golf. We could go hit up one of the courses on the Northwest, right?
Bandon. Let's go to Bandon.
Let's go.
We could drive We could do like a documentary of us driving to it, and then I will get the. I want to try on the gladiator loincloth, and
that was
gotta watch the documentary.
That was an interesting twist. That's for sure.
Isn't that weird?
That was.
Have you seen how fat he is now? He's fat. Like I saw that on the internet the other day. What's his name?
John Oliver.
Not John Oliver. The guy.
Who are you talking about?
The guy is in Gladiator. What's his name?
Oh, Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. Dude, he's fat. I was like, what happened, man? You're the Gladiator. What happened? Like, he's fat. Like, he needs to lose like 70 pounds. Looks like me, right? So, like,
those guys can do it too. Who knows? He may.
Oh, I know. In 2 months, he's gonna be shredded. And I'll be like,
right.
Yeah, that's bullshit. That's not cool.
That doesn't happen. I don't know how they do it.
I'm still blown away right now that like your grandpa probably knew my uncle. I bet he did. I bet you he did, right? Because that was like the 70s, early 80s, and I don't know.
See, that's what happens when you sit down with someone for 2 hours. You figure out things like that, right?
I should do that at XGolf.
For sure.
I'm never going to talk to you again, Ryan, so you can just forget that, all right? So
okay,
whatever, man.
That cuts deep.
It cut deep. You went all the way down to the Italian core on that one. Yeah, so XGolf, you have 50 locations. Are you going to open up in the West Coast soon?
We are, yes. So we've got Sacramento up in Northern California, and then we've got a new partnership we're finalizing shortly with some really interesting folks in Oregon. So we're excited. Well, we were just talking about Oregon. They've got some aggressive strategies. Hey, whatever.
Arizona's recreational now.
Sure. Isn't everywhere almost?
Dude, might as well be. Who cares?
Right. But yeah, so Oregon and we're looking at Washington. And yeah, you name it.
Yeah, I can see you're going to be like the Blockbuster Video. You're going to do like, but not like in the bad way, but remember they were saying how many they grew? Remember that? Like how there was a new one opening every 17 minutes or something crazy?
Right.
That's going to be you.
Maybe, yes, that'd be nice.
Maybe like 34 minutes. Still.
We did open one this morning, so that was pretty cool.
See, good timing. Ryan was like, I need to be on your show today because I want to tell you about us opening our latest store. That'd
be nice if we were that coordinated, but I don't think
we weren't even close to that. It was just like
the franchisee who's busting his butt to get open doesn't care whether we're.
Why do you open on a Thursday? Why would you open on a Friday?
I think that
because he's wanting to get it open.
You want to get it open, and you're waiting on the local municipality to give you the final CEO to open, and then I think usually the demand is people are excited, so it doesn't matter if it's a
dude. You guys are gonna blow up, man. I can you guys are an entrepreneur already, the top 500. Like, dude, you guys are gonna blow up. You guys are strategically just put it right there for you. Yeah. He hung that up before they had some artwork from his 2-year-old, but then he took it down.
I do. Yeah. I've got a heart down there
really?
from my daughter. You don't, did
I have so much art
up or you don't see it?
I kind of made it up, to be honest.
No, there is a heart from my daughter back there. If you can see. Yeah.
That's a cool bag. You need a different one though. That bag that's not the best bag. I'll go with a different.
I know. I need to update it.
I'm gonna help you with that.
I also need the dope.
That's a badass painting, right?
That's awesome.
You know how much I paid for that? It wasn't that much money. It was like $200, and like somebody on Etsy painted that. I was it's not real. It's like a print, but still, it's like I love that. Love I should go reach out to that. Yeah, they do like I don't know.
Since we're friends now, maybe just send me one. I'll next time we talk, I'll just cover my whiteboard with a dope. We can have matching paintings in the background.
You probably have like you're probably like sitting in front of an IKEA desk right now and like an old like tower computer and like.
Come on. I already told you I used to run a reclaimed furniture company, man. I like.
I bet you it's nice furniture. You need to come look at my house because I need some new furniture. I was going to tell you something funny. You're going to have that computer in the documentary. Remember that one where it was like 386 DX2 power?
Oh, right. Yeah. And they were talking about how, everyone else was writing on paper, but they were revolutionary. And then they show the screen and it's like just
the blue
binary
screen
code. Yeah.
No, but remember the computer broke and she's like, oh, I gotta get some parts in the part room. And she's like, oh, the good thing was the DirecTV went out of business and they had old computers too. Remember that?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Sorry. Dude, who would have thought that we'd be talking about the documentary this whole show? Ryan's like, what the hell did I get myself into today?
No, I love it.
It's fun, right? I don't know. I always do it. I think it's fun. I mean,
you've got a very interesting background and I love to see the passion and what you're doing in golf. So it's cool. Thanks for having me on.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you could join us. And you guys need to check out XGolf. It's really cool. Like at first, they approached me. I was like, what's that? And then I talked to like Ryan. I talked to, what's her name?
Lauren.
Lauren's cool as hell too. We talked for like forever. She has cool stories, but like, it's a cool company. They're definitely growing. I mean, no doubt about that. And, you know, with Ryan at the helm, I mean, that's really cool about your grandpa too. Just like how they like blew up. That's huge, right? He started a major card game pretty much. Like a card game is like literally in everybody's house, right? So I don't know, just cool. It's just cool stories. These you learn every day. I learn the coolest stuff about people, but
that's what's fun about your job. I love it. Well, your passion piece, I guess.
Yeah, this is fun. This is like my side. That's like, I wouldn't call it a side thing. This is just for fun, you know? Like now I go deal with dumb stuff at work. But well, thank you for being on the show today. You guys need to check out XGolf. If there's one in your location, there probably will be in the next year or two. If there's not already, where can people find your website?
They can go to xgolffranchise.com.
Does the XGolf website have like all the locations on there too?
It does. We're actually redeveloping a website right now to be more consumer facing. So we'll be coming out with that starting next month as well, which is basically like all about tournaments and find your local X golf.
It's going to be so cool when you guys do that and have that app and all that where people can do tournaments and be for like real prizes. Like you could literally do that. It doesn't matter what state you're in. You could be playing against it seems like something like e-gaming, right? Or whatever they call it. Like you could be in two different states, play against each other technically, right? On stats that your software is taking control of. So like, nobody can really cheat, you know, and then have a really cool prize at the end. Like that's
100%. Yeah. It's basically, you know, esports, but with some, you know, an actual sport integrated into it, right? Because you still have to.
And there's nothing like that. There's like literally nothing like that, right? So it's cool because you're bridging the gap on multiple things, you know, with.
For sure. And that's what I'm excited about, right? It's like national scramble tournaments where you can put, you know, rules like you have to use one player's tee shot twice per 9, right? And
dude,
so
they have like cornhole championships and stuff on cable. Like, why wouldn't they have something like this for a bigger prize? And really, like, the prize could be big. It could be like, oh, you go to the Masters. Oh, you go to whatever, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, our National League winner, we're giving away 10 grand right now with a co-branding with Truly, and that's kind of just the start of where we see it going into the future. But absolutely, yeah, we've been talking about the ability to live stream some of these tournaments, and we've had some discussions going on with groups to partner with on that piece, media outlets.
There's me freaking badass. It's gonna work. I mean, you guys are already thinking 2 years ahead. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's gonna be cool as hell. Especially with the app side of it, and people can just check and like people can totally get into that. Like
for sure, yeah, I'm excited because you know there is
you can even see like golf courses buying one of these, right? Like if it's a golf course, it's a clubhouse that like nobody goes to, it has a bar right there. Like, why wouldn't you do that? Like at a Muni or something where the bar is separate, right? You know, where the clubhouse is, it's owned by some dude. Why would you just put an XGolf in there so that then people can play? It's
tough to replicate the experience or the atmosphere that we create when you've got 6-8 simulators. You've got the music playing, the bar is centralized, everything is flowing, and you've got, leagues going on where people are competing against each other. When you throw one or two in a clubhouse, it just doesn't have that same atmosphere. So, that makes sense. We've been looking at ways to kind of scale it down and do a bit smaller scale applications, but it's tough because
but it may not work because it's just not the same. Right?
We've seen country clubs that put them in and then their members still drive over to XGolf because they enjoy our technology and the experience a bit more than what they're getting at.
It's more about the
club.
experience and not what they're doing, right? Like so much. That's interesting. I didn't think about that. Yeah, I could see that. It'd be cool if you had an XGolf at a golf course. So that'd be badass because you'd have they like made it a full XGolf or something, but they're never going to do that.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, depending on where it's at, that could happen.
My backyard. You can put one in my house if you want, my garage. I'll let you use it whenever you want.
Oh, well, thank you.
Anyways, I know you have to get to work now. I've talked to you for a long time. You're probably tired and now you have to go make some sausage. And so thank you for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
You're my new friend.
Awesome.
My new bestie. No, you're not my bestie.
All right. Hop in your car. You're going to pick me up and then we're heading to Oregon, right?
Dude, that'd be so freaking fun. And then we could do like a YouTube thing of it. And you can put it like, maybe just pick
your
up
boy Sam. Your boy Sam can come as well.
He would school us so bad, dude. It would even be funny.
Love it.
Like we'd be a 2-on-1. We could be like 2-on-1, like best ball for you and me, and then versus him. I bet. I'm actually gonna email Sam today. So for you.
Awesome. Cool.
All right, my friend.
It's been fun. Thank you very much.
Friend. Thanks for being on the show, and let's do some stuff together.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right. Yep.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Behind the Golf Brand Podcast.
You're gonna beat me at golf?
Stay connected on and off the show by visiting golfersauthority.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment.
Golf is always more fun when you win.
Stay out of the beach and see you on the green.